And again, another point I want to stress is that one should distinguish within Babylonian extispecie between the practical extispecie and theoretical extispecie. What I described now, including this manual, that's part of the practical extispecie. That's how it worked in daily life. And we know that the same procedure was followed until the very end of cuneiform civilization. Neo-Babylonian times, Nabonidus, Assyrian kings, we have reports written for them exactly in this form, yes. And then there is a completely different issue that's theoretical extispecie. And that's when they begin recording this information on tablets. But first, of course, they started producing clay models of particular configurations of exta, probably of exceptional occurrences, when a king had died under very strange conditions. Yes, these events were so extraordinary, they began collecting such cases, really. And these were, at this stage, these were, I would think, real observations of actual happenings, yes. At some later point, 100 years later perhaps, they began adding short inscriptions, identifying, telling you what it was. Before you couldn't, unless you remember it. Of course, you couldn't connect it with any event. And then they switched to and this is what I described again they introduced sort of conditional clauses. They again use this very specific illustration, yes, like the photograph of this particular case. And they would say, if in the future a king will die, that's what the exta will look like, okay? Now I would like to show a few examples of such inscribed liver models. The first one comes from Mari on the Euphrates. It dates roughly to the 19th century BC and has a 3-line inscription which reads as follows. This is the liver of Kish concerning King Sargon. And the king mentioned here is, of course, the famous Sargon of Akkad, who lived around 2300 BC and was the founder of the First World Empire. And this omen apparently refers to his conquest of Kish. Here we have another river model. This one is of unknown provenance. It probably dates to roughly 1900, 1800 BCE. And it has a longer inscription which reads as follows. This liver concerns King Sinidinam, to whom something happened at the time when, in the temple of Shamash, he participated in a religious festival. And the last 3 lines of the inscription specify a prediction which apparently also occurred at the time. The text reads, I quote, "The person for whom the extispecie is performed will defeat his enemy and will trample over the enemy." And this particular ruler is known to have ruled in Larsa in southern Babylonia in the middle of the 19th century BC. Here you have yet another clay model, but this time of a lung. While most of such models represented livers, you also have models showing lungs and other anatomical parts. And this one, which comes from collection of the Yale University, shows a lung with a characteristic perforation. And as you can see, it's also inscribed.